I want you to try something with me. It's a bit of a visualization exercise to kick things off.
Okay, I'm with you.
Picture your city. Could be Murfreesboro, could be anywhere, really. Now, I want you to just strip it down
Dip it down how?
mentally. Remove the asphalt from the roads. Take down the steel beams of the skyscrapers.
Okay.
Pull up the fiber optic cables and the sewer lines. Erase the actual physical buildings.
Mm.
What is left?
Dust. A ghost town. I mean, that's what comes to mind.
That's the instinct, right?
Yeah.
We are so conditioned to think that infrastructure is the built environment.
That it's the stuff. The
down.
concrete, the wires.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We think the city is the concrete. But there's this sociological argument, and it's the one we're really testing today,
Right.
that says if you remove that physical shell, the infrastructure actually remains.
Because the real infrastructure isn't the stuff.
It's the web of relationships. It's the connections between people.
It's a difference between a ruin and a community. I mean, you can have a fully built city that is socially dead.
Oh, absolutely.
We see that sometimes in these, planned cities where the buildings are all there, but the social fabric,
Yeah.
the there, it just hasn't formed yet.
That's the perfect way to put it. And today, Tuesday, February 10th, 2026, as we continue our series on Black History Month right here in Rutherford County, we're putting that theory to the test.
Okay.
We're looking at three men who I'm calling architects. But they aren't pouring concrete. They're building systems, they're building narratives, and they're building, well, I guess you'd call it spirit.
I'd call it social capital. Or maybe just glue.
The glue. I like that, yes. We're looking at Ed Grimes, Ricky Burchell, and John Jake Verge.
Three very different individuals.
Very different. And usually when we do these profiles, we look for, a single theme. But today, I want to propose a framework. I think these three men represent three distinct pillars of that human infrastructure we were just talking about.
And to be clear, this isn't random. These aren't just three biographies we pulled out of a hat.
No, not at all.
They represent a kind of triad. You have a system builder, a cultural architect, and what would you call the third one? A steward.
A steward or the heart. But here's my skepticism, and I want to put this to you early on.
Go for it.
We use words like community pillar or architect all the time.
Yeah.
They sound nice on a plaque.
Right, as award ceremony language.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Are we actually going to see structural engineering in what they do? Or is this just about them being, good guys who volunteer a lot?
That is the right question to ask. And I think when we get to Ed Grimes specifically, you'll see it is not just about being a good guy. It's about logistics. It's about the actual engineering of survival.
Okay.
But before we get there, we should probably orient the listeners who might have missed the start of the week.
Right. Good point. If you weren't with us on Monday, we kicked off this series with a look at the art of simplicity.
A fantastic conversation.
It was. We talk about the two Angies, Angie B. and Angie Rene of Simplicity Radio.
And that was all about voice. It was about visibility, the power of media to empower a community.
So if Monday was about the voice of the community,
Today is about the structure.
so let's lay out the blueprint then. Who are we dealing with? Let's break it down.
Okay, first we have the system builder. That's Ed Grimes. With him, we're talking about crisis response, management, and the literal safety net of the county.
The nuts and bolts. Then we have the cultural architect, Ricky Burchell. And a quick note for everyone on pronunciation there, it's Burchell.
Burchell had it.
Ricky is the creative force. He's dealing with storytelling, with film, the whole narrative identity of our community.
Okay.
And finally, we have a heart, or maybe the steward is a better word. That's John Jake Verge.
And that's about service.
It's about service, consistency, and what I'm calling the metrics of loyalty.
What strikes me immediately just hearing that list is the sheer variance in their spheres of influence. You've got someone in high-level crisis management, someone in the creative arts industry, and then someone in direct boots-on-the-ground service. They're not even in the same ballpark.
But that's the point, isn't it? You can't build a house with just three walls. You need the foundation, you need the frame, and you need the hearth to make it a home.
That's a great analogy.
So let's start with that foundation. Let's look at Ed Grimes.
Ed Grimes, he's the founder and executive director of the Murfreesboro Rescue Mission.
Right.
Now, on paper, that sounds like a standard nonprofit leadership role. But you have to dig into his stack for a second. I was looking at his education, and it stopped me in my tracks.
The duality of it.
The contradiction, or what seems like a contradiction, he has a Bachelor of Science in Pastoral Theology.
Okay, so the study of the soul, of redemption, the metaphysical, it's about counseling people through their darkest spiritual moments.
Precisely. And then he pairs that with a Master of Education and School Administration.
Which is budgets, compliance, truancy laws,
Yeah.
dealing with school boards and HR nightmares. It's paperwork and systems.
Exactly. It feels like a total contradiction, but it's actually the perfect tension for running a crisis center. Think about it.
Go on.
If you only have the theology degree, you might have a mission with, an immense heart that goes bankrupt in 6 months because you can't manage the overhead.
Or you offer people all the spiritual comfort in the world, but you fail to get them physically housed because you don't understand the bureaucracy of zoning or how to write a grant proposal.
Right. But flip it. What if you only have the school administration degree? The systems thinking.
Then you run a perfectly efficient shelter that treats human beings like cattle.
Like widgets in a factory.
Yeah. You process them, you check the boxes, you run it like a detention center, but you don't restore them. You don't heal them.
And Grimes sits right in that intersection. He uses the administration background to build the scaffolding, the rules, the intake forms, the safety protocols.
The boring stuff.
The boring, essential stuff, so that the theology, the healing part, can actually happen safely and effectively.
It's like operational empathy.
That's a great term for it.
Yeah.
And you see this operational side most clearly in a certification he holds. He's a Handle with Care instructor.
I saw that in the notes. I have to admit I wasn't sure what to make of it. Is that just a fancy way of saying he took a security guard class?
No, and this is a really crucial distinction. Traditional security is often about the exertion of force.
Compliance through intimidation.
Right, or physical dominance. Handle with Care is a specific crisis intervention methodology. It's used heavily in places like schools and mental health facilities. It's about the physics of de-escalation.
The physics. What does that mean in practice?
It means, how do you stand? How do you position your body relative to someone who is having a psychotic break or is intoxicated so that you are non-threatening but also safe?
So it's about body language and positioning.
It's that, but it's also, if you have to physically intervene because someone is a danger to themselves or others, how do you do it without causing pain or injury? It's about preserving dignity even in the middle of a crisis.
So it's not about winning a fight. It's about preventing one.
It is the engineering of a safe space. When you're dealing with homelessness, you're dealing with people in their absolute worst moments. Trauma, cold, addiction, withdrawal. The environment is volatile by nature.
I can only imagine.
And by being a certified instructor in this, Grimes isn't just a guy breaking up fights. He is installing a software into his entire staff that prevents the fight from ever happening. He's training them to read the room, to de-escalate with their presence.
And he didn't just, learn this in a weekend seminar. He spent 15 years in the trenches at the Nashville Rescue Mission before coming here.
We have to add some context here. The Nashville Rescue Mission is not a small soup kitchen.
No.
It is one of the largest rescue ministries in the entire Southeast. Spending 15 years there is like going to the Harvard of crisis management. It's the big leagues.
Let's break down that tenure, because he wasn't just sitting behind a desk. He started as a second shift supervisor at the Anchor Home.
Which is often the most difficult, most chaotic shift in any 24-hour facility.
For those out there who haven't worked in 24-hour ops, explain that. Why does second shift matter so much?
Well, the second shift is the witching hour. It's usually late afternoon into the deep night. That's when intake happens. It's dinner time. It's the transition from the structure of the day to the anxiety of the night.
The sun goes down.
And things get real. People are tired, they're hungry, they're on edge, and they're all just looking for a safe place to sleep. That is where all the friction points usually happen. If you can manage the second shift in a major urban shelter, you can manage just about anything.
And he didn't stay there. He moved up to director of education. And this stat, this just blew my mind. 80 GED graduates in 4 years.
That is a staggering number. Staggering for that demographic. You have to understand, trying to study for a high school equivalency exam while you are housing insecure is nearly impossible.
The focus required.
Forget focus. You might not have a quiet place to read. You might not have your glasses. You might be dealing with legal issues or recovery or just the overwhelming stress of not knowing where your next meal is coming from.
So for him to guide 80 people through that,
it means he didn't just hand them a book and wish them luck. He built a system. This goes right back to that Master of Education and School Administration.
the systems guy.
He knew how to build a curriculum, a tutoring program, and a supportive environment that actually yielded results. He understood that education is a concrete pathway out of the cycle of homelessness. It's not just a nice to have.
And he kept moving up.
Mhm.
He also served as head chaplain, director of guest services.
And was a member of the executive leadership team.
So he touched every single rung of the ladder. He saw the operation from the janitorial level all the way up to the executive boardroom.
And he didn't just maintain the status quo while he was there. The notes say he helped launch 2 guest services programs in Nashville that are still in use today.
So he left a mark.
That's legacy. That's building infrastructure that outlasts your own tenure. It's not about him. It's about the system he leaves behind.
So he takes all this experience, this massive toolkit he built in Nashville, and he brings it to Murfreesboro. But the context is completely different here.
How so?
In Nashville, he joined an existing giant, a well-oiled machine. In Murfreesboro, he's the founding executive director.
That's a crucial distinction. In Nashville, the infrastructure was already there. He just had to optimize it and improve it.
Right.
In Murfreesboro, he had to pour the concrete himself. He had to design the whole operational model from scratch. He had to develop the recovery programs, coordinate the volunteers, fundraise.
He had to convince the community that this specific model was necessary and that he was the one to build it.
A much heavier lift.
And nowhere is that infrastructure building more apparent than in the Coldest Nights program. This is something that I think a lot of people see. They see the signs or they hear about it on the news, but they don't understand the complex logistics behind it.
This is, in my opinion, one of the most vital pieces of social infrastructure in the entire county. It is literally a life-saving machine.
So for those who don't know, let's just explain what Coldest Nights actually is.
It's exactly what it sounds like. It's an emergency protocol that activates when the temperature drops below freezing.
Not wind chill, actual temperature.
Right. And it's the difference between life and death for people living on the streets. Hypothermia doesn't care about your backstory. It just kills.
But the key here is that it's not just one building, opening its doors. It's a coalition.
Yes. And this is where Ed's system builder archetype just shines. The Coldest Nights Emergency Shelter Program involves the Murfreesboro Rescue Mission, the Journey Home, the Murfreesboro Cold Patrol.
And local churches, First Baptist on East Main and St. Paul's Episcopal Church.
That is a lot of moving parts. You have different denominations, different nonprofits with their own boards and rules, different volunteer bases. That sounds like a logistical nightmare.
It is a logistical puzzle. And Ed is the linchpin. When that temperature drops, this whole network activates. Ed helps coordinate which site is open on which night.
He oversees the intake and the safety protocols, and remember that handle with care training. This is where it pays off in dividends.
Because you're bringing people in from the cold.
Who might be in distress, who might be intoxicated, who might be terrified or paranoid. You need a calm, safe, dignified intake process, or the whole thing falls apart.
And I read that he also works with outreach crews to physically locate people. They go out and find them.
Yes, this is critical. They don't just wait for people to show up. They go out, they look under bridges, they look in wooded areas. They find people who are in real danger and bring them to safety.
It really reframes the idea of Black excellence, doesn't it? We often look for the flashy awards or the high-profile business successes, but this is quiet.
It's quiet and it's absolutely essential. This is Black excellence's infrastructure. It's the methodical life or death work of building a safety net that is strong enough to catch people when the weather turns fatal.
It requires deep compassion, yes.
But it also requires cold, hard logistical competence, and Ed Grimes has both in spades.
So we have the system builder. We have the safety net. Now, I want to pivot. Because a community needs more than just physical safety.
It needs more than just survival.
It needs a soul. It needs a story. It needs a reason to get up in the morning.
We're moving from the body to the mind, from survival to expression.
Exactly. Let's talk about our second pillar, Ricky Burchell, the cultural architect.
Pronounced Burchell.
Burchell, thank you for the reminder. Now, if Ed Grimes is about saving lives, Ricky Burchell is about shaping minds.
That's a good way to put it.
He's a creative force in Middle Tennessee film, a producer, director, writer, actor, and the founder of Ricky Burchell Studios.
And what's really interesting about Ricky is his origin story. He isn't a native of Rutherford County originally. He lived in New Jersey, South Carolina, Georgia. He was moving around a lot.
So what brought him here, of all places?
The same thing that brings so many creatives to this area, Middle Tennessee State University. MTSU.
Ah, the MTSU connection. That makes perfect sense.
He came to Murfreesboro in 1996 specifically for the recording industry program.
Okay, I want to pause on that, the recording industry part. Because usually when we talk about film directors, we talk about them going to film school. visual arts. But Ricky came for audio.
And that musical foundation is absolutely critical to understanding his filmmaking. He didn't start with a camera, he started with a microphone, he started with audio engineering and songwriting.
So how does that translate to film? Is it just a, transferable skill?
Well, ask any great director, and they will tell you that sound is 50% of the movie.
At least.
If the sound is bad, the movie is unwatchable. You can forgive grainy footage, but you cannot forgive bad audio. So Ricky came into the world of film with mastery of the audio landscape.
And you found a bridge.
He found the perfect bridge. Music videos. A music video is pure visual storytelling set to a pre-existing audio track. It's the best training ground. From there, he expanded into commercials, short films, and eventually, feature films.
I want to look at him through the lens of brain drain. Because usually, when we see a resume like his, someone with this level of creative output, we assume they live in Atlanta or Los Angeles or maybe New York.
Especially in the film industry. The gravitational pull of those hubs is massive. If you're a talented filmmaker in Murfreesboro, the advice you get 99 times out of 100 is pack your bags, go to where the industry is.
But Burchell stayed. He came here in '96 for school, and he planted a flag. He built his career here. Why does that matter? Why is staying an act of infrastructure?
Because when a creator leaves, they take their entire economy with them.
That's a powerful idea.
When Ricky Burchell decides to film One More Dream or Consider the Lilies in and around Rutherford County, he isn't just making a movie, he is importing an economy. He's renting local gear, he's buying local catering, he's paying for local permits.
But more importantly, he's hiring local talent.
He's hiring local actors, he's mentoring young filmmakers from MTSU. He is creating a supply chain for creativity right here.
He's proving the concept.
Exactly. Think about the film student at MTSU right now. If they look up and see Ricky Burchell producing professional, feature-length films with stars like Omar Gooding down the street from campus,
The psychological barrier to entry just drops.
completely, they realize, oh, I don't have to wait for permission from Hollywood. I can start building it right here, right now.
It reminds me of that concept of lane building. He's not just trying to merge into existing traffic.
That's it. He's not just driving on the road, he is paving it. And looking at his filmography, he is prolific. I mean, I looked at his IMDb page, and frankly, it's unmatched for this region. 18 directing credits.
18.
13 producer credits, 13 acting credits.
18 directing credits. That is a massive output for an independent filmmaker. That is a serious grind.
It's aggressive. And he's not just making content, he built a studio. Ricky Burchell Studios isn't just a vanity label on his films.
No, it's a brick-and-mortar business.
It's a full-service, multimedia production company. They're doing ad campaigns for local businesses, live streams, audio production, and the feature films. He has diversified the business model so that he can sustain the art.
A true entrepreneur. Let's dive into some of the specific films, because I think the themes really tell us something about what kind of cultural architect he is.
Sure. Take the film AM Radio. It explores mental health and connection. That's a heavy, nuanced topic to tackle.
Not your typical indie fare.
Not at all. Then you have One More Dream. This one feels special because it premiered locally at the Premier 6 Theater right here in Murfreesboro.
I love that. He didn't just upload it to YouTube or, send it off to a festival in another state. He created a red carpet moment for his own community.
Exactly. He made it a local event. And One More Dream features Omar Gooding and Brittany Goodwin. And here's the perfect callback to his roots.
Let me guess. The music.
Ricky wrote the original music for the film.
The Renaissance man.
Truly. Then there's Consider the Lilies. This one was filmed in both Nashville and Murfreesboro, and it had a wide release on streaming and cable.
So he's getting distribution. His work is being seen beyond the local area.
Which is key. And Eating Me Up, which has a very high rating on IMDb. And he's not stopping.
Right. He has more coming down the pipe. The Story of Robert Smalls, which sounds like a historical drama.
It does.
Plus Shotgun Charlie and Hope in a Future.
The story of Robert Smalls is particularly interesting to me because it suggests he's moving into historical narrative. He's preserving and retelling Black history through the medium of film. That's a shift from pure entertainment to historical preservation.
So help us analyze this. We're calling him a cultural architect. Why isn't he just a guy who makes movies? What's the difference?
It's about the ecosystem he creates. By holding premieres in Murfreesboro theaters, he is giving the community a sense of pride and ownership. When you see your own city, your own streets on the big screen, it changes how you see yourself.
It validates your existence.
It does. It says our stories are worth telling and our city is worth filming. He's building a local film culture from the ground up.
Black excellence, in this case, looks like creation. It's the act of looking at a place that didn't have a film industry and saying,
I will build one right here.
I love that. I will build one right here.
And bring others along with him.
So we have Ed Grimes building the safety net. We have Ricky Burchell building the creative economy and the cultural narrative. Now we move to our third pillar, and this one. This one feels different. It feels more personal.
It does. This is the heart. This is the spirit.
We are talking about John Jake Verge. And if you ask anyone in Murfreesboro about John, the first thing they will likely say is that he is one of the sweetest souls in the entire city.
We're moving from the high-level systems of Ed and the creative output of Ricky to the absolute boots-on-the-ground consistency of John Jake Verge.
And he's a local, a lifelong resident of Riverdale High School grad. His story is about the simple, profound power of showing up.
Over and over again.
Let's talk about the metrics of loyalty. Because when you look at his resume, it isn't about jumping from job to climb a ladder. It is about staying put. It is about deep roots.
The numbers are just incredible. Let's start with the Boys and Girls Club. On January 16th of this year, he marked 36 years of association with the club.
36 years. That is longer than many of our listeners have been alive.
And 28 of those years have been as an official employee. Think about that for a second. That's generations of children. He has likely helped the children of the children he helped when he first started.
That's mind-boggling. And he has done everything there. He hasn't pigeonholed himself into one role.
Everything. He has been the custodian, keeping the place clean and dignified for the kids. He has handled snack and dinner service, making sure kids are fed.
Which for some of those kids might be the most reliable meal of their day.
Without a doubt. He's been a bus aide. He's been a sports announcer. He runs the music for the Oakland Middle Chargers football games.
It's the all-in approach. He isn't saying, that's not in my job description. He's looking around and saying, what does the community need from me right now?
And he has such a simple, beautiful philosophy. He's quoted as saying, I love the youth, and I love what I do. That kind of sincerity is so rare.
It is. In a world where everyone is chasing the next big thing, John found his thing, his purpose, and just stuck to it for decades.
And it's not just the Boys and Girls Club. He is also a fixture, an absolute icon at the Salvation Army.
The bell ringing.
Since 1986.
1986.
Yeah. That's when he started bell ringing. In 2021, he was officially honored for 34 years of service. Anyone who lives here knows his voice. He has this booming, joyful, welcoming voice.
His signature ho-ho-hos.
His ho-ho-hos during the Red Kettle campaign are iconic. You hear it from across the parking lot, and you know exactly who it is.
You know, I want to challenge the listener here for a moment. Bell ringing is not easy work. We see it as festive, but think about the reality of it.
It's a grind.
You are standing outside in the cold, often the same brutal cold that Ed Grimes is protecting people from, for hours on end, ringing a bell and asking strangers for money. It can be thankless.
So thankless. People walk by, they ignore you, they're on their phones.
But John doesn't treat it as thankless work. He treats it as a ministry of joy. He's not just collecting donations. He's giving out warmth. And the city has recognized this.
Oh, absolutely.
In 2019, the city of Murfreesboro awarded him the key to the city.
Which is a huge honor. That's not something they just hand out. And there was a mayoral proclamation that went with it, citing him as a shining light.
The Rutherford County Historical Society has even featured him in their Why We Love Our Local History series.
He's become a living landmark, a part of the city's story.
But I think what makes John's story truly an example of Black excellence isn't just the longevity, it's the resilience. Because his life has not been easy.
No, it has not. And he's very open about that, which is powerful in itself.
Let's look at the challenges. In 1974, when he was in the first grade, his childhood home burned down.
A massive trauma for a 6-year-old to lose your safe space, your foundation like that.
Absolutely. So he lost his foundation early. He lived in public housing for decades. He has openly discussed managing a nervous condition.
So he's faced economic struggles, housing insecurity, health struggles, things that would have made many people bitter or withdrawn.
It would have been so easy for John to say, the world has taken from me, so I'm going to close myself off.
But he did the exact opposite. Instead of withdrawing, he went outward.
He went outward. He anchored himself in service to others. There's a beautiful detail in the notes about him. He now resides in newly built multifamily housing, and he keeps a picture of his mother on his living room wall. He shows it to visitors as a point of pride. It's what grounds him.
It's his anchor.
So how do we analyze this pillar? What does John Verge represent in the architecture of this community?
John represents joy as a form of resistance and consistency as a form of leadership.
Say more about that. Consistency is leadership.
He proves that you don't need a master's degree like Ed, and you don't need a film studio like Ricky to fundamentally shape a community. You just need to show up faithfully, joyfully, for 36 years.
It's the power of visibility, the power of being a constant.
Exactly. In a world that changes so fast, where businesses close, people move away, technology makes everything different, John has been a constant. For over 3 decades, he has been that friendly, reliable face. He provides a sense of continuity.
He makes Murfreesboro feel like a small town even as it grows into a big city.
That is a profound point. The small town feel doesn't come from the size of the buildings. It comes from recognizing people like John Jake Verge at the grocery store.
He's the social glue. He's the connective tissue.
Precisely. If you were to somehow remove John Jake Verge from the equation, the city would feel colder. It would feel more anonymous.
So let's try to synthesize this. Let's bring it all together. We have Ed Grimes, Ricky Burchell, and John Jake Verge. 3 very different men, 3 very different pillars.
Let's look at the triad again. Ed Grimes gives us safety. He ensures people literally survive the night. He provides the physiological baseline. Without his work, the most vulnerable people die. It's that simple.
And Ricky Burchell gives us culture.
Right. He ensures people have stories and dreams and a reflection of themselves. He feeds the imagination. He creates the narrative that says, we are a place where things are made, where stories are told.
And John Jake Verge, he gives us spirit.
He ensures people feel seen and welcomed and loved. He feeds the heart. He reminds us on a daily basis that we are neighbors, not just strangers living in the same zip code.
And the argument we're making here is that a thriving community requires all 3. You can't just pick one.
You absolutely cannot. You can't have a healthy community if you only have safety but no culture. It would be a prison. It would be sterile and gray.
And you can't have culture without safety. It would be total chaos. You can't make movies if people are freezing to death on the street.
And without spirit, without the John Jake Verges of the world, it would be a cold, transactional place. A collection of individuals, not a community. You need the system, the creativity, and the heart working in tandem.
That is a beautiful way to put it. These men are the architects. They're designing and building the rooms that we all get to live in.
And they're doing it, as the source material so perfectly says, daily, quietly, faithfully, and with purpose.
This has been an incredible deep dive, and I want to remind our listeners, you are part of this documentation process. You're part of this series.
Yes. We are only just scratching the surface of Black excellence here in Rutherford County. There are so many more architects out there, so many more stories to tell.
And this series relies on your input. If you're listening to this right now and thinking, hey, you need to talk about so-and-so, we want to hear from you.
Don't just think it. Send it to us.
You can contact Jack Diggs on Facebook. Or you can email flyrod02@gmail.com.